What happens when Speedball faces the consequences of reckless hero work? How will he pay his penance? Our story begins in Stamford, Connecticut. Robbie Baldwin, aka Speedball, leads the reality TV superheroes into battle. These guys are totally out of our league, man. No way we should be going in there. But think about the ratings, Microbe. Then the worst case scenario happens. You're playing with the big boys now. Half the city was leveled by Nitro, killing 612 innocent people, including a nearby elementary school, all because these young heroes wanted to be TV stars. The real heroes came in for a cleanup, but the damage was done. The governments of the world wanted to register all superpowered individuals, splitting the heroes down the middle. Miles away in upstate New York, two men stumble upon Robbie's body. Ah, jeez, that's one of them new warriors. What's his name? Speedball. As the police officer on scene gets closer, they notice Speedball is hovering an inch off the ground. Suddenly, they start to hear a sharp, piercing sound. They scream in agony. The unconscious Speedball creates an explosion, frying the two men. Later, Speedball is brought into a heavily guarded medical facility. Robbie slowly begins to open his eyes, met face-to-face with Eric Marshall. Marshall works with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s anti-registration terrorist violation squad. I hope you're not in any way attached to the number 4, because I have 4 pieces of bad news for you. 1, all of his friends are dead. Robbie is the sole survivor. 2, 612 civilians are dead. At least 60 were kids. 3, the explosions wiped away Robbie's powers. And 4, you're under arrest. Sometime later, we shoot to a prison cell where Robbie Baldwin is held in chains. I want to see my lawyer. Shut up, Mr. Baldwin. Just listen. Marshall lets Robbie know that the Superhero Registration Act was just passed, signed by the President of the United States. The President feels that it would be good for public image if Robbie were a registered hero rather than a convict. You're being offered a one-time chance to escape punishment for the crimes committed by yourself and your former teammates in Stamford. But I didn't do anything wrong. With the rest of the new warriors dead, blame is falling square on Robbie's shoulders. Marshall hands Robbie the registration, informing him that he either signs or stays in prison. Robbie refuses. Later, Robbie's dragged from his cell by 2 prison guards. You don't want to see me cry, it'll haunt your dream. I'm a good crier. Robbie tries to reason with them, asking a guard to get a message to his family. Look, you guys have family, right? Suddenly, one of the guards punches Robbie square in the stomach. They begin to beat Robbie as he lays helplessly on the ground, cracking his head on the floor. Yeah, I got a family. As a matter of fact, I got a cousin in Stamford, Connecticut. I used to. She died because some attention-seeking moron in a costume decided to record a crime-fighting spree on national TV. As Robbie walks into the prison guards, he's met with some unhappy faces. What's up, baby killer? Robbie's knocked to the ground, surrounded by inmates. You're gonna hear it in your mind every day for the rest of your life. Later, as Robbie sits handcuffed in a chair, we see that the life is drained out of him. He sits emotionless with dead eyes across from his lawyer, Jen Walters, She-Hulk. You think I've lost weight, Jen? Only because someone bit a 2-ounce chunk out of my arm. Jen insists that she won't let any of this happen. The government knows the risk of putting a former hero in a regular prison. Just what I need, a better class of jail. Jen lays out her case. They'll challenge the legality of calling him unregistered without a grace period, considering he was in a coma when the act passed. They're trying to make me a scapegoat, Jen. Some maniac killed 60 kids, and they're going to make it seem as though I did it. There was nothing I could have done, except not be there in the first place. She-Hulk has been to the explosion site. It's gruesome. Bodies are everywhere. Some may not even be identified. At the very least, this is criminal negligence. I would do anything to go back and have it be different, but I can't change the past. Then change the present. Jen slaps a folder on the table. It's a compromise from the governor. If he registers, all he'll get is 3 years community service doing hero work. The offer's on the table, Robbie. It's the best offer you're ever going to get. Robbie lowers his head as if in defeat. Tell them I'll sign. Good. Listen, I know it stinks, but it's truly the way forward. Tell them I'll sign the day hell freezes over. The next day, Robbie's in a boxing match against Toomey, who's been the one leading the chorus of Baby Killer since Robbie arrived. Robbie swoops in with a left hook, connecting with Toomey's jaw. Before Toomey can gather himself, Robbie follows up with a 1-2-3 shot to the face. "You're dead meat. You hear me, Baldwin?" Robbie ducks Toomey's powerful punch before responding with an uppercut, knocking Toomey to the floor. "Wow, I think you broke my fist with your nose." The onlooking inmates get restless. They need to take matters into their own hands. One slowly pulls out a shiv, and as Robbie steps too close to the ropes, he slices Robbie's leg. "Still think you won, baby killer?" Toomey stomps on Robbie's wound, causing him to scream out in pain. Suddenly, a bright light emerges from Robbie. The guards step forward as the blinding light grows stronger. Then, a blast of energy shoots from Robbie, flooring the entire room. Later, Robbie's with Jen in a prisoner transport vehicle headed for the new prison. Along the route, they see the streets lined with civilians wielding hate signs. "What the heck? Is this what it's been like?" "I tried to tell you, Robbie. You're the poster child for superhero excess right now." "That can't have been for me. For Pete's sake, I'm Speedball. Everybody loves Speedball." They approach their destination, a portal connected to the negative zone, a prisoner in another dimension built to contain those who refuse to register. Robbie and his fellow superpowered inmates are shuffled into the portal. Robbie doesn't seem to understand the full scope of the situation, still cracking jokes. "Hey, do they have beer on this voyage?" As they portal to another universe, Robbie realizes he's guarded solely by robots. "It's like this whole system is automated. Why do you think they'd entrust all these people to robots?" "Because the negative zone does that to some people." Curled up on the floor is an inmate, screaming and crying. "I can't be here! I'm going to die before I see myself again!" Robbie looks up from his flying ferry, finally seeing the full scope of his massive prison complex. After a few weeks of hell in prison, Robbie's called to meet the creator of the negative zone, Reed Richards. "How does it feel to be responsible for all this misery, you self-important blowhard?" Reed tries to plead with his fellow hero. Reed has dozens of friends locked up because they refuse to register. If Robbie can sign, he can become a figurehead for registration. "Go to hell!" "You've changed, Robbie Baldwin." "I'm incarcerated at an unspecified location that literally saps your will to live. I haven't been formally charged. Any idea why I'm upset, Reed?" "I'm not a stupid man, Robbie. I want more desperately than anyone to reconcile with you and the others. You have something important to say. I want to hear it." Reed's giving him the chance to speak his piece in front of Congress. "Come to the Capitol building. I promise you'll be safe to testify. Cross my heart." A few days later, Robbie's in a prison transport vehicle headed to Washington. He made a bold choice, wearing his old Speedball costume. "You're not exactly in a position where you should make people angry." As they arrive, Robbie's swarmed with journalists trying to get a quote from him. He continues to tell the people he's innocent, but She-Hulk's got bigger concerns. They changed the entry route. "This isn't right." Suddenly, a man shouts above the crowd, "Baldwin!" The man pulls out a pistol and shoots Robbie right in the chest. The crowd goes into a frenzy, but the police can't find the shooter. Jen pulls Robbie to safety, tears streaming down her face while holding her bleeding friend. An ambulance arrives just in time. She-Hulk pushes away any civilian and journalists looking to crowd the scene. "Stay with me, kiddo. You're gonna be okay. It was me. I don't want to die here in front of everyone." "You're not going to die. I'm right here. It wasn't us. It wasn't the new warriors who killed all those people. I could never admit to that." Suddenly, energy begins emitting from Robbie's body, slowly starting to fry the back of the ambulance. "Because then, I'd have to admit my friends are dead." Jen shouts to the driver. They need to slow down. They're killing him. "If I slow down, then he's already dead." The energy in the back of the ambulance grows brighter. "It hurts, Jen." "Robbie, I can't see. Did you just do that?" The energy coming from Robbie fries the ambulance and blinds the driver. They T-bone the side of a car, killing the two EMTs. "Everyone died because of me." Robbie's powers siphoned She-Hulk's powers, leaving her injured after the crash. S.H.I.E.L.D. took Robbie into custody, where he's being studied by Reed. He'll live, but he won't enjoy it much. The bullet is pressing against his spine, making surgery dangerous. On his x-rays, there are strange blobs throughout his body. Reed has no idea what they are, but it appears his powers are mutating, now brought on by extreme stimuli. Robbie's powers become stronger with pain. Robbie's later taken to the Raft, a less secure prison than the negative zone. He finds himself in the middle of a prison break. One of of the escaping villains, Razor Fist, takes Robbie as a hostage. I got one chance for freedom, Robbie boy. Now you can fully cooperate and die quickly, or you can struggle and die in pain. You're hurting me. You think I care? No, I like it. Robbie unleashes a massive blast of energy, one so strong that the entire prison is lit up for miles. Prison guards flood the scene, finding unconscious bodies strewn across the floor. They find Robbie Baldwin sitting peacefully in a cell, still glowing. Been doing a lot of thinking about the Registration Act. I've come to a decision. Where do I sign? Later, Reed tells a now legal Robbie that registration doesn't mean he needs to suit up and fight crime again. What you're about to do, it's tantamount to committing suicide. Yeah, well, I already covered homicide and genocide. I wanted the complete set. Robbie pulls his hood over his head, a darker, more depressing version of himself than we've been used to. I'll be in for work at 9 a.m. sharp, just like our agreement says. Robbie enters an abandoned warehouse. He builds a fire in the middle of the room and throws something in. It's his old uniform. Speedball is dead. A man enters the warehouse wielding a briefcase. Are you the one? That depends. Do you have it? The man pulls out a costume. I must say, I've never made anything like this before. The suit is made with hardened plastics, reinforced with alloys to make it incredibly strong. Inside are 612 spikes with energy conduits at the tips. Most are small, hardly incapacitating, but 60 of them are longer and made of metal. I cannot imagine any use for this other than torture. Whomever this is intended for, you must hate them very much. I do. Who is it? I must know. Me. The man is shocked, appalled, and horrified. What you're asking for? It's sick. Robbie puts on the suit, explaining that the 612 spikes represent the 612 lives lost in Stamford. 60 kids died, 60 spikes will hurt the worst. Every single point of my pain will be a reminder until the day I mercifully die, and all of that pain is fuel. Robbie Baldwin is dead. Speedball is dead. Now it's time for penance.